G'day, guys. It's Coach here and the villain on Down Under Sigmar. We are slightly a bit late because one of our guests is, I don't know what he's doing. Liam, what do you think Lindsay's doing at this point in time?
I have no idea. My big guess is turning on the computer. Oh, wait, hang on. We got something.
Speak of the devil, we've literally just summoned Lindsay. He's joined us, but guys, it is Down Under Sigmar. There's no better timing than the present. Liam, how has your week been?
It's been good. Just busy with work and sorting out some tournament stuff, apparently, like doing some artwork in the last 3 or 4 hours for a particular someone.
Yeah, I've kind of roped him in to help with Sydney GT. It is, I've been talking to Clint, and Clint has said that I should ask for help and not try to carry a 100-player tournament by myself. So I am asking people for help, and Liam is one of those few.
Yeah, best decision he's made, in my opinion, but that's just my personal preference.
But it's been a good week. We've had a lot of news releases that I'm sure we'll talk about. Very exciting, at least for myself. But I am really excited about our guests. So the first one I'll throw it over to is the man who's been with us for a while, and I'll let Lindsay settle down. But before we do that, Chris from Brizhammer, how are you, mate?
How you going?
I shouldn't call you Chris, should I?
You can call me whatever you want.
You're Stratty from everything I know.
I am Stratty, yeah. That's what everyone knows me as, so go for that.
So who is Stratty? Introduce yourself to the internets.
Well, I'm a guy who likes to mainly paint, but I do a lot of playing. So I've been doing it probably for 20 years now. So ever since I met me mates in high school, and they kind of just started. So I jumped on with them, and then ever since then, been all guns blazing for 40k, Blood Bowl, and then when AOS dropped, we jumped on that.
Yeah, so, awesome.
Solid,
and can I just say that you have a very impressive beard, one of the best in Australia.
Thanks. It requires no work.
Yeah, I'm really jealous. Like I use like olive oil butters, and I bought myself a comb, and I'm like, I work in a corporate world, so I'm like, I can't look homeless. So
yeah, I'm a tradie, so I can do whatever I want.
Right. Well, welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to getting into the topic of the week and to compliment and thank God you're here, because I was gonna have to pretend to be you, Lindsay. Lindsay from the Games Cube. How are you, mate?
I'm pretty good. It took me a while to get used to the internet, I guess. I don't do too much web streaming. I don't watch any YouTube videos. I just do work on my computer and web pages. So I had to change 3 browsers, install 5 plugins, but I'm here now. And I'm really happy to be here.
That's awesome. And I'm just going to blame the Magic the Gathering players. So Lindsay is the, are you the store owner, co-store owner, overlord of...
People can call me whatever they like. Some people call me all of those things, but yes, I own the Games Cube in Sydney with my wife Alex. So
yeah, awesome. I always think your wife's the real boss, to be honest.
Well, me too. I'm like the managing director, and she's more like the CFO. So she gets to choose everything I get to do and the way we do it.
Basically, yeah. So you're the head, she's the neck. She turns the head where she wants it to happen in the Games Cube.
Yeah, 100%.
Looking forward to talking to you guys today. Today's topic, when we get to it, is going to be about forming great partnerships and relationships between wargaming communities and between our local friendly game stores. So Chris and Lindsay will play those roles, and it'll be great to kind of understand, what's important to them and how do they kick off some great relationships. Chris has had a lot of success locally, and I know he's got some exciting news going to be coming up next week, while Lindsay, mate, you've run Warhammer tournaments, Sigmar since almost day one, but you have been doing Warhammer Fantasy since what? 6, 7? Like you've been around for a while.
6 years now, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember your 5th year anniversary.
Yeah, well, we turned 6 in May, so 6 now, and yeah, been doing Age of Sigmar or Warhammer Fantasy since then.
Yeah. So obviously, you've had a long-term standing with us in the community. So it'll be great to understand, because some people are like, how do I get my games club involved, or how do I run an event? And vice versa, Chris, you've gone out and approached your game store, and you've got not just one, but many. So that will be the topic we'll kick off very soon. But Liam, before we get into some of this cool stuff, what's happened in the community?
Game-wise or like news-wise?
Sure. What do you want?
Let's go to news, because I can't wait to talk about some of this stuff, because I know that this affects both of us in a way, Anthony, and I've maybe just a couple of our guests as well, where we had the open day on the weekend, and a few exciting things got previewed.
Basically, Games Workshop screwed my entire content plans. I had Wanderers planned, which has basically been scrapped. What else am I doing? I had Swift Talk Agents being lined up. I had Gunbusters being lined up.
And then you had Iron Jaws like a week ago.
I had Iron Jaws, and then I also did Slaves to Darkness, and there was big rumors that a combined Chaos book was coming literally hours after I recorded. So luckily they didn't screw that plan up, but...
Yet. I just don't emphasize the word yet. Yet. So we have one thing, an Ogre Tyrant, which looks super badass. He is the definition of dad bod that you don't mess with. And then we got stuff about Warcry, and then we have Auric War Clans, which is super interesting, but now it's becoming like a normal thing where they're putting multiple factions together, which is pretty good in my opinion, like streamlining it and making it easy for people to collect. And then there's one random one called Cities of Sigmar. I don't know what that's about.
It's about effing time that they re-released a book for my army. So Lindsay might remember them as like the Empire and the Dwarves and the OG, High Elves, and then they screwed us around. And finally, we get a book. Praise Sigmar, or more importantly, praise Sam for this amazing book. And there's been pretty cool memes on Twitter that I may have been spreading, praising Sam, who is the designer, Sam Pearson. So, thank you.
Can I just say, I love how like the artwork is like 80% like Stormcast Eternals.
Yeah,
I mean, one human's in it, and 80% of it is like Stormcast. This is actually the 4th Stormcast book we're talking about, but they just haven't said it.
It's not a Stormcast book, and he has puffy shirt, so I am all in.
That's him before he turns into a Stormcast. This is him when he walks in, and then he transforms. And
big shout out to the chat here. I can see there's some good shade being thrown at Stratty already. And Josh, Free People, oh my gosh, they will fire. I cannot wait to run all the cannons, all the mustaches, all the puffy shirts, all of the feathers in my cap. The Free People are back. Liam has been taking the piss out of me because I had just bought 2,000 points of Seraphon, Sylvaneth. I put out a post the start of the morning saying, oh my gosh, got all my cool stuff. I can't wait to unwrap my Sylvaneth book. And
is it unwrapped?
No. 8 hours later, there was a release of a book. So,
yeah. Hey, at least you got some hobby of the army done beforehand, though. So you are going to get that army completed, yeah?
What?
You're going to get that army completed, yeah? All those
Sylvaneth?
Yeah.
Contrast paint.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I'm just watching all the shit happening in the chat. Matt Tyrrell, Josh, even Gabe, and Sean misdebates himself. So some solid chat going on right now. But
because don't you have an epic conversion for Dirthu?
Fuck that. It's about canon.
He's wearing a puffy shirt now.
All plans gone.
Fuck that. That's Steam Tanks and Feathers.
And then, like, of course, we have Warcry coming out. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
I think it's this weekend, pre-release.
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah, so we got that coming out, which GW has literally flaunt like the whole entire website about. Looks cool. I'm keen to jump on it. But I might not have time to build or do anything because I'm helping some TO paint his terrain.
Sorry that I'm running a large tournament and I need some help. Speaking of help, Lindsay, thank you for being one of our major sponsors. No reason why you're on this show. You didn't pay to play here. That this is another reason that Games Cube has been an awesome partner for us and has sponsored Sydney GT 2 years in a row as a major sponsor. So,
they told you to somewhere.
Hello, you again.
It's my cricket buddy.
He was being a little troublemaker the other day.
He's the bowler at the Games Cube team.
Oh, amazing. Cool.
He's awesome. I love your son. He's hilarious. Do we know what games played, Liam?
Games played. I played 2 games. Once against Rob Reimers and his Sanesh. Major win by turn 2. And then I played Chris Welfare against his Seraphon. Yes, he owns a Seraphon army. He owns every army, I swear to God. And again, major win. And then now that army is going to be retired. So yeah.
What about yourself, Stratty? Have you had any games recently?
Oh, not too recent. The last ones I had were at a little one-day tournament at the Dark Magician or something, I think it was. Yeah, I took like a mixed order for the first time, so it's like I knew the book was coming.
Mate, it's like you had a premonition.
Yeah.
What was in your army?
Mainly just KO.
Shoot.
Yeah, just shoot some stuff, run some Colonel Thunders around.
Shooting. Wait, what? What is this list? What?
Oh, it's just had a little bit, a couple of, I think it was one big squad of 6 Colonel Thunders and a buttload of Arcanauts just shooting. So
Did you have a
I just
hard
go in
time
and
in
kill
this?
stuff and other dudes shoot. What was
This
that?
sounds amazing.
It was fun. It was good fun. Unfortunately, I have no spells or no dispels. And I came up against Nagash first round and then Zinch second round.
But you shot him, yeah?
I shot him. He
Yeah.
died.
You die.
Yeah, he died. Yeah,
Love
it was
it.
good. I went, I think it was 2 wins, 1 loss, so it was all right.
Pretty good.
Nice.
Magro, yourself?
No, I want to ask my other guest first. I'm a gracious guest. You come to my house, you eat, and you speak about your games. But Lindsay, I know you've been on holidays, so I don't know how much games you've gotten to play. I know you're going to be tournament organizing X-Wing Bolt Action soon.
No, Star Wars Legion is my web.
It's like the same thing. If it's not Sigmar, it's something else. It's like
Yeah, it's similar. But Warcry actually, when I read the rules and learned to play today, I saw it's like virtually the same game as Star Wars Legion, as in the operations and stuff. So I might get on board and join some Warcry as well.
awesome. What did you? I obviously haven't read the Warcry rules yet. Only what they've leaked. What was your thoughts? Like, what did you see?
The video and stuff, and it looked all good, but busy. You do 4 things: you can move, attack, or stand by, and I can't remember whatever the 4th thing was, but it's
You don't have an armor save, though, which is interesting. So,
yeah.
Which is cool.
That's awesome. And I played 2 games, funnily enough, at the Games Cube last weekend. So Lindsay puts on a monthly tournament the 3rd Sunday of every month, and I played 2 games out of 3. I took the bye in the last round to let somebody else play. First game was against Hayden, not Hayden Walker, who we had we had Hayden Walker on the tabletop TO, and we're like, what's Hayden doing here? But no, Hayden Wright and his Seraphon, which was a really cool game. Lots of teleporting between my hand of Gork and his just generic Seraphon teleporting. Yeah. That was an awesome game. Lots of like Cold One Nights, which was a lot of fun.
Wait, what? Cold One Nights.
Yeah, like the lizardmen, like the dudes on the
models that no one ever uses.
Yeah, well, Clint does. Clint and Hayden do, but it was like a half Croxigor and half summoning. So he had like a Bastillodon, he had like his Astrolith Bearer, he had a Slan, and then he had a whole bunch of these like Cold One Knights or whatever they're called now. It was nice to see old models on the board.
I love how your response to my shock face for Cold Ones, and you're like, Clint uses them, so it's normal. It's like, no, it's not.
Well, Clint uses also the.
It uses Manfred, so that's not.
Hey,
Who's
he
that?
uses a Charybdis, and it's not cool.
I'm with Stratford. Who is that?
Manfred,
Yeah.
the best Mortark until the new one that comes out with the Tide, whatever that last video was.
It's Neferata's the best one. Anyways, any other game? What was your second game?
And my second one was against Jeff Galea, the Maltese Rambo, with his very strong former High Elf army, which he had some nice little buffs with a couple of repeater bolt throwers, a Lawmaster, some lots of re-rolling to hit and wound, and then like this whole block of Phoenix Guard, which just took it. Yeah, just sat on this objective, and it just took it. And I threw everything at him, and I think maybe got a half strength.
So can I just say his army list almost beat Matt Campbell's list, who won Slaughter.
It's tough. It's really tough. For someone who only dabbles in the game, he's a very tough opponent.
Yeah, I just remember like going over to Matt, being like, "How's your game going?" He literally looks at me and goes, "I actually might lose to this." I was like, "What?" Yeah, and I saw the list and I was like, "Oh yeah, that explains a lot." It's got shooting, it's got durability. Corn is like glass cannon. So,
and his Glade Guard as well, which are really cool, have like a shoot and then like a retreat kind of mechanism, kind of like the the Life Takers that come from the sky from Daughters.
Yeah, but it's on a
they kind of have that. but yeah, it's a lot more reliable than that. So, yeah. So some good games, and always have fun at the Games Cube. I feel like you should be paying me for sponsorship. There's no money involved in this one, but no, I had awesome time as we always do.
It's such a good day.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting us on and putting up with all that our rubbish.
Yeah.
And we are pains in the asses. We are a very demanding pain in the ass group.
Yeah. Totally.
I wouldn't say that.
Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah, we're not that bad. I swear. It's not like if he's 5 minutes late, we're messaging him or anything. No. No. He's been a great host for us for the past 3 years now. He's dealing with us. And it's been
Sigmar alone.
Well,
Sigmar alone. Well, that's my experience, 3 years. But yeah.
Well, it's not just me. Like, I'd like to throw a big shout out to Steve Kasim here, like, who started running it at the Games Cube because he was a massive fan of our Warhammer Fantasy to begin with, and that's how we got into doing it all is through Steve. So big shout out to Steve if he's watching. Thanks, mate. And I'll keep your mantle burning.
Big shout, Steve. Before we, again, one more topic before we get into the main topic, and that is content creators. There's been a lot of, I'm looking at my list, and there's been a lot of cool content dropped from the Australian, New Zealand community. Is there any ones that, guys, you want to shout out before I go through my list? Stratty, I might go to you. Anything that you've been watching really took your fancy lately?
I downloaded the Notorious one with Dave Kerr, only because I just can't get enough of that guy.
Big Sean, Little Sean, and Dave Kerr. Yeah. That is some hot sauce.
Haven't listened to it yet, but it's on the podcast for tomorrow morning on the way to work.
Definitely check that one out. That has Twitter has been on fire. It's got a lot of good responses. Great to hear Masters level players having a really good chat. So those Notorious boys, Big Sean and Little Sean, check them out. I don't know if they're still in the chat or not, but they do a good podcast. So subscribe to them. Lindsay, do you listen to a lot of content? Am I just throwing you under the bus here? We haven't talked about this yet.
Yeah, no, it's under the bus. I don't watch any videos at all on YouTube, or I don't really watch TV either.
It's because you're sorting all those magic planes.
Yeah, there's a lot of magic card sorting to be done. So, and obviously with young children, there's not much time for watching stuff for me.
And when you do, it's obviously this channel and no one else. Like, that's just.
This is the first content I've ever watched in the last 3 years, probably.
Well, welcome to the internet. No, we only have fun, but obviously a busy man, and you run the store 7 days a week, and lots of stuff happening at the store. Liam, what have you been watching or reading lately? Who's caught your eye?
I've literally been I've been so busy with work, and also, as you know, in the past couple of weeks, I've had some health stuff. So I have not had time to watch other content. So I've just been following up what's going on with Warhammer community. But the list that I've seen you put up, I have seen the Elf Bros videos and stuff, which has been really good. So shout out to Hayden. He's been doing some great stuff. And yeah, that's quick too. Yeah, it's not an hour and a half long, which is great, or 45 minutes. It's 10, 15 minutes. And it's explains, he does time lapse, quick rundown of what's going on, and you can see what's going on in the game, what's getting removed, what's happening in such a short period of time. So once I think he gets up to 20 or 30 or more videos, it's just you can watch as many for a whole day. It's so it's been really good. So huge shout out to him. But yeah, I haven't watched anyone else really. That's it, because I've just been so unwell and trying to get back onto work.
And more importantly, painting my stuff that it'll eventually come down your way.
Yeah, I have to do a massive pickup on that. Yeah.
So I'll do some shouts here. So fresh Aussie content that's been dropped in the last fortnight. So you just mentioned the Elf Bro has done a really cool battle in brief, which was essentially a 20-minute battle rep between Sylvaneth and Feck. The Aussie Wargamer, who I actually ran into yesterday in Sydney, he's back on YouTube and did a really cool short take on the AOS Open Day. Doom and Darkness has done a battle report from Khorne vs. Zench. Measured Gaming has done a Seraphon versus Beast of Chaos bat rep. Creepy Gamers have done Elves, which is Jeff's versus the Gloomspite Gits. And then on Monday, Luke Stone and Andrew Bigwood have talked about the cities of Sigmar from a narrative perspective. And then, as we've all talked about, the only fresh podcast that's been dropped is Notorious Age of Sigmar, which was the Masters chat with Dave Kerr. Although I know Measured Gaming is recording a podcast today. So keep an eye out for that podcast as well.
Sweet.
Big couple of days. Oh, and also we've got a couple of cool events. Ipswich GT is this weekend. I don't think they're taking more tickets. Stratty, you're playing at that one?
I am playing.
What are you taking?
I'm taking Skaven.
Same list as Saggy 2.
No, I changed it, and I was supposed to be playing some games, but I have not had time.
Fair enough.
I changed a little bit just because I didn't want to paint more clearance, so I just chucked a heap more spells in there.
Yeah.
And then took the points creep, and that was it.
Are you happy with before we move on, are you happy with the changes to Skaven from your red?
I think they're fine. I still think the Vortex is really good.
Busted?
Yeah,
Red is
it's
busted.
It's pretty good.
Cool, sick. Glad we're on the same page.
It can not function really well sometimes if you roll bad. But
Yeah,
you get 2 chances though.
You can get multiple because you can unbind it, then just do it again.
Beautiful.
Stratty, while we're talking to you, is there anything that you want to mention when it comes to events at this point in time? Is there anything that's happening in your local scene?
Yeah, so we are going to be running an event. So we've got one happening on August 31 and September 1. August 31 to September 1 at Acacia Ridge Hotel. So it's a new venue for us because we've expanded. But yeah, we're looking at 50 plus people. And tickets haven't gone on sale yet, but I think Monday there should be some details on the Brizhammer page, so everyone can jump on there and buy the tickets.
Also, so check out Brizhammer on Facebook, where you can keep an eye out on everything. And I will be going. I have spoken to the wife, spoken to work. I've spoken to Hayden, who's letting me sleep with on his couch.
Oh.
His dog. You're sleeping with his dog.
Let's not go down there. I'll get some weird comments. But I'm looking forward to Brizhammer.
His dog is going to wake you up. It's happened to me. I know what happens at 8.
A couple of
You're still going through therapy?
Yeah, I mean, Bucky's a beautiful dog. Lindsay, I think you need more dogs at the store.
No, I can bring in some cats though.
No cats.
Cats, yes. Cats, bring cats.
A couple of other events I just want to shout out. Liam, you're running a Sydney Teams event on the first weekend of October.
The weekend before yours.
So same weekend up in Toowoomba, there is a Toowoomba GT, which is going to be great. You have the Bendigo Bush Bash Bonanza. That's a mouthful. Which is happening down in Bendigo by the Measure Gaming crew on the 19th and 20th of October. I think I've seen a few other little events pop up. HeroCon's happening at December. So there's a lot of small little lull. And then obviously Sydney GT, which as I'm checking, there's 101 players signed up. I've got 110 spots. So there's a few more tickets left if anyone wants to come to Sydney and play Warhammer in quite a large event.
It's going to be good. I heard the TOs are pretty awesome.
He's shitting himself. He is absolutely shitting himself.
We're going to be fine. Trust me. Totally going to be fine.
I love how you've only just come into the picture this week and it's Wii.
Yeah. I'm
cool.
painting.
And I've got some cool other sponsors I'm going to announce, and the new player pack will come out soon. So keep an eye out. Check out Sydney GT on the Facebook as well, as much as Brizhammer and Games Cube monthly events, third Sunday of every month. Now, let's get into the real topic, the meat and potatoes of this episode. And it's really just an open discussion. And so just for anyone who's happened to join us, halfway through, we have Chris Stratford, aka Stratty, who is a local gaming player. What does that mean?
I can be a player.
I mean, you can be player. Chris is obviously not only a great player, but he is a tournament organizer who has been running Brizhammer. This is up to number 4 now.
Yeah, 4th one. Yep.
So you've run 3 at your local games club, or one of the locals, which is called Irresistible Force.
That's it.
Yep. So I know the Ozhammer boys used to do a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah.
But you've run 3 events so far. You know, it's grown. It's become so successful. You've now gone out and branched out to yourself, and you've got a new venue.
Yep. We've got just a pub. So plenty of drinking and meals on site.
Just a pub. Just a pub.
That's actually the party room. So
living the dream.
Just saying. Going to be pretty hectic.
Sorry, I think the chat's letting me know that the Bush Bonanza may have changed to the 5th and 6th of October. So just go into Facebook page and have a look for Bendigo Bush Bonanza, and you'll find the accurate date. So it may have moved. And then on the flip side, we have Lindsay. Lindsay is the head honcho of the Games Cube, which is a local, I'm going to call you successful because you've kept us homed and fed every month for the last 3 years on the third Sunday of every month, playing a 3-game mini Warhammer tournament, which has been a staple of our community. I think it's been a critical piece to build the Sydney community, both new players and old. And you've been running Warhammer games for, many years.
Yep.
So topic of the week is about partnerships and I guess building a really good relationship between us and hearing what Lindsay has to say from a Games Cube point of view. And I guess he'll play the role of the local game store to tell us what's important and how we do all this stuff. And Chris, how you kind of kick things off. So is that a fair introduction or did I miss something?
No, that seems right.
Spot on.
All right. Open question. Either of you respond here and we'll get the ball rolling, which is, why is it important to build a strong working relationship between the wargaming community and game stores? And this can be not just about Age of Sigmar. This is about wargaming communities in general. So maybe Lindsay, I'll throw it over to you first. Why is it important that we build a strong relationship?
Well, firstly, I think it's important that everybody has a place to play no matter what you play. One of the reasons me and Alex opened the Games Cube, I've been playing Magic 25 years now. So I've been used to going to other shops where it was just Magic, and other tradable card games. And we saw that there was no home or place for miniature players to play. And we immediately wanted to make sure that the Games Cube is a place where everyone can be welcome, no matter what game you play and things like that. So, it's building communities around war games. It's very important because it's fun and all. Like, a lot of people love to play in their garage with their mates, but sometimes you just need to see what everyone else is doing and hang out and shoot the shit.
No, well said. And Stratty, what about yourself?
Yes, yeah. It's always a nice place to, if you go to have a local place to kind of play games, especially if you don't have a setup, at home, which a lot of people don't. It's nice to have a place to play nice games. Sorry, my kid's just having a bit of a cry. So just to hang out, like you were saying, just to hang out with the boys and to shoot the shit as well. It's always nice. Even if you just watch games as well. Doesn't matter what game's on either. Sometimes just something you're not interested in, or you might be looking to pick up a new game.
It's interesting to say that. Sorry, Lindsay?
I completely agree. Like, just people walk in, they see people playing, so they immediately just want to talk. Where are they playing? They're automatically interested in the hobby and things like that. So it's always great to see.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I've been playing, just playing Sigmar at Games Cube. Or anywhere, but in particular, I'm thinking of a story where there's been a few times where I've been playing Sigmar in our little mini tournament, and someone who is a part of the Age of Sigmar Sydney Facebook page has seen me, has recognized my face because I post a lot, and they asked a question.
YouTube channel?
No. Like, they've seen my pictures on the Facebook group, but they're like, they kind of wanted to ask questions, and they've never played, but it was less of a jump into this tournament scene. It was more like, hey, I want to see what's going on, get a feel, and then the next month they actually joined and started playing. So it was a nice little, put the toes in the water.
Yeah. I got to say, though, as well, going on with what Chris said, the amount of times at Games Cube or even at good games and stuff where, I'm playing a game, I turn around, and there's some random board game I've never seen before. I remember there's this one, there's this competitive game that Lindsay had at the store where it's about building a train line.
Ticket to Ride?
That one. And apparently it's this old school game that's been going on for years. I'm I've never seen it. What is this game? And it was mind boggling. And seeing that, and you can only get that when you go to your local game store and seeing what other people play. And then they ask questions about your game, and then you ask questions about their game, and then you work out the similarities or differences. But most of the time it's different.
Well, Lindsay, what do we have this weekend? There was a table with Dungeons and Dragons So while we were playing Sigmar, we had Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we had D&D, we had Magic players. I think we had some board gamers. I can't remember. It's always lots of people in.
I think there was a 40K game next to us as well. One of the spare tables.
Yeah.
Also, I see like Star Wars Legion, like some other games, which I like, and it's interesting because like when you go to a game store, you see games on the shelves, and you go like, oh, I wonder how that goes, and then like you walk into like the same game store, another game store, like a week or two later, and then you actually see that game out, and then you get to see what it's like, kind of thing. So, yeah, it's always interesting when you go look at other games.
I think wargaming in general is on a bit of a boom too. Like in our market, in the hobby market, board games are such a thriving thing at the moment, and there's a lot of board games now that come out with miniatures and miniature base. So people are getting more and more used to painting miniatures, having miniatures in their games, having this cool stuff. And I think it's really generating more people to get into miniature games as well, so they can take it to the next level.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And we are in a bit of a renaissance. And, you look at the amount of games coming out, Gen Con, I think, is this week or coming out really soon. There'll be a bunch of releases there. What's it called? Game of Thrones, that Fire and Ice game seems quite popular at the moment.
Yep.
And it's always interesting. Like, I always find it fascinating. There's games like Sword and Spear, and there's some other like medieval kind of Viking games where I have an interest in medieval and Saga. So that's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I've never
and they're interested in our game.
Yeah, each year at the Games Cube on the Queen's birthday long weekend, we have an Ancients tournament, and this year we had like record numbers, which I was very surprised. I think we had like 32 players for Ancients, which was epic.
Crap.
Yeah. And there's more miniature companies now. No longer is it just the Citadels and the Ralpathers and the Perry brothers. There's Kickstarters and there's independents, and there's so much miniature out there that I think it's a good time.
It's a great time.
Almost too many games to play, I think.
Spoiled for choice is what
and
it's called.
Lindsay's thinking there's too many games to keep inventory and stock of.
Yeah, it's like I know for board games, there's 60 new board games come out each week, and I have to pick 2 to make it on our shelf.
Wait, how many new board games?
60 new board games each week.
No, I'm good. I would lose track. I'm
hard, good. Yeah. Because it's also like I get an email every day from someone that's making their own miniature game. They'd like us to stock it, but it's just not enough space on the shelf to fit them all.
Okay, 60. Shit.
So Chris, yeah, it's crazy. Like I can't imagine. Like
it's probably about 60 Kickstarters finishing every week, isn't it?
I wish there was. I wish there
like
was 60 3D printing files coming out. But
give it 6 months, Magro. You'll have it.
No.
Like I swear, everyone's having a 3D printer in their house.
Yeah,
I'm on Facebook and someone's like posting like, "Look what I just came in the mail today." I'm like, "Okay, look, nah, don't have space."
So Chris, I've mentioned that you have run 3 successful Brizhammers already.
Yep.
How did this all come about? Like, tell us a story about how you came up with this idea, and then eventually you kind of started speaking to whether it was Irresistible Force or even just got it in front of a local game store.
Yeah, so I've been mates with the previous owners of Irresistible Force for a good probably 8-9 years. And then when they changed hands, I forged another relationship with the guys that started that up again. And then that was about the same time as Edge Sigmar started kicking off. But then it had a bit, at the start it was a bit, funny with the no points and all that kind of stuff. So it was a bit about a year where it was a bit on. I wanted to play, but, no one else really did want to. As soon as they dropped the points in, everyone kind of jumped on board with my mates and stuff like that. Once we started playing a few games, realised we wanted to start playing tournaments because we always like tournament games. And after, I think it was the first time we had the idea, maybe we should just run our own one. I just approached the store owner and they were keen to get more people in. obviously, because more foot traffic is always good. And it kind of just started from there.
And sorry, Liam.
So how many numbers was the first year? I mean, first event?
The first one was, I think we did pretty well. I think we did 26 or something like that.
Yeah, and like I remember at that time of Age of Sigmar with tournaments, 26 was actually a huge number.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, we didn't have room to get any more. We kind of maxed out. So we were in the gaming part and the store part.
Yeah,
so
that was good. And then and it's just grown from there.
Yeah, so we kind of keep the same numbers. I mean, apart from might have a couple of drops here and there, but it's always above 20.
Yeah, Magro.
No. Just I was going to ask Lindsay. I mean, Chris, or some gaming player walks up to your store and says, "Hey, mate, I want to run an event here." You've been running Warhammer Fantasy and Sigmar now for a number of years. We've already established this, and you've mentioned Steve kind of helped kick this all off. Why did you actually continue running these events, and what are you as a game store owner looking to achieve by running events and essentially giving up space that other games like Magic the Gathering or your casual player comes in and may not get a table? What do you want out of these events?
Well, I think for me, I know I speak on Alex's behalf too, but we take great joy in just watching people have a great time in store. Like, that's kind of why we set up the shop as well, is to make sure everyone can have a happy time, excited time. So I love it when I have the chance to come down and look at what everyone's doing and see it in action. All of your painting, like, is just godlike compared to my crappy painting I do myself. I think it's quite intimidating for a lot of people. But yeah, no, for us, we just want to see everyone have a great time. Obviously, we need to pay the bills and things like that too on the day. People, like, the Games Cube has great air conditioning, that's for sure, all year round. It's on, so things like, people eat, you got to pay the rubbish, you obviously pay the water, the dunnies, toilet paper, electricity, the floor space, staff behind the counter if I'm ever away or not running the shop on that day. There's so many different aspects that have to be paid for as well throughout the day. So everyone having a good time, that's number one. Paying all the bills, number two. And hopefully we can accomplish both each and every month.
Yeah, and obviously, probably for people who don't know about the Games Cube monthly event, we pay a nominal fee. It's usually about $20 to enter. That comes down to prize allocation. It comes down to a whole bunch of things. Lindsay's quite generous in spreading that money across a number of prize categories, but also we've got tables always set up, terrain's always set up. The terrain is good quality, often mostly Games Workshop or Battlefield in the Box kind of level. Air conditioned, drinks available. The space is.
Yeah, and it's also just near like food and stuff. So like, and he's been very nice. So I remember when we first did Games Cube, it was like we didn't have time for a lunch break, and then Lindsay offered us super nicely to open the store half an hour earlier, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, we opened an hour. We opened an hour earlier and stay an hour later for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, which is like for a business and stuff. They usually, like, I understand businesses don't do that generally for like customers and stuff, but the fact that you do that for us was like awesome. Like we're
especially on a Sunday when you got to pay double.
Especially when so like for us, like we appreciate that as well. So as I said earlier, you do deal with us and you take care of us like super well. So we're super like happy.
So obviously this is important to local game stores. And again, this is not about the Games Cube. This is about these two people representing their communities. And I'm sure this kind of sentiment is shadowed across other tournament organizers or aspiring tournament organizers, as much as other local game stores that maybe are waiting for you to engage them to say, hey, I would like you to run an event, or I'm waiting for someone like you who I may not be an expert in Age of Sigmar. I don't know the rules, but I'm waiting for someone who can help me get this little community off the ground. And Thomas Holdsworth made a really good comment in the chat, and he's essentially said, I'll paraphrase and say, I can always see it in your eyes when we get noisy, Lindsay. I don't know what the hell. So you don't know what the hell is going on compared to the games that you're an expert in, but I definitely see you light up. So,
Well, it's just the natural thing, you know. Someone gets excited, the person next to them gets excited, everyone gets excited, the noise goes through the roof, and everybody's happy. It's great.
It's good for business as well. Like all the customers who are walking around or maybe thinking about it, like, oh, this is a community I want to be a part of. So it's good. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
And you know, while I got you, Lindsay, you know, it's fair to assume that Warhammer is not the only game that you sell and you work with.
No, obviously not. Let me do my little quick thing. So obviously we try and do everything whatsoever under the hobby banner because we want to make sure everyone's welcome. So we do a lot of Magic the Gathering. We buy and sell our cards. If you want to get rid of cards, thegamescube.com or come and see me. But yeah, we have a lot of different miniature products, different brands for hobby accessories and things like that. But yeah, the main side of our business is definitely Magic the Gathering.
So the question I want to ask you about the other games is, and I'm conscious, you know, for someone like me who really only plays Age of Sigmar now, I've kind of dropped most of my other games, dabble in Frostgrave and a few other games and Dungeons and Dragons, but you know, Age of Sigmar is my primary game now. If I was going to approach you about an event, or I had an initiative in mind, what are the other popular games I need to consider that either drive attendance or drive revenue for you? Like, what are the things that I need to consider from that aspect?
Well, usually it's just Magic the Gathering because most stores will just try and focus on Magic. I know I say Magic a lot, but if Magic didn't exist, game stores wouldn't exist. It's pretty much that easy for our industry.
And like Friday Night Magic is massive for you, right?
Yeah, we get a large attendance of Friday Night Magic. We also get a large attendance for Dragon Ball Super, which we do a lot on Friday night as well. So, and the last Friday of every month, we also get to host Lords of Liverpool Wargaming community for their meetup.
So one thing you've brought up is both of you brought up that like trading card games is pretty much like a huge revenue thing overall in game stores, because I know for a fact that when you and I have chatted, I've always said to you, I swear there's always a new card game every month I come in. And then you were telling me that there was like another 3 coming out, which I'm like, I would lose track.
Yeah, there's always a new card game too. It's usually pretty clear which ones are going to work, which ones are not going to work. It's like that kind of with miniature games too. What we try and do is there's always a new hot one that's coming out, and we try and get on it. And then it goes up, and then slowly over time, and then you got to try and get out right at the right spot so you don't lose money with having too much stock and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the Batman miniatures game's like a good example of that one, or Dystopian Wars.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember, because like at every game store I've been to, Magic is like packed. Like it's just, and I do know that some stores, I don't know, Chris, if you dealt with this in some of your stores up in Queensland, where if you want to try and book a table to play at a certain game store, sometimes they reserve areas just for Magic. And
the Irresistible Forces only just started doing Magic the last probably 3 weeks. They've got one table for Magic. But
give it 2 months, it's the whole store.
I think it will happen. Yeah, I've seen it happen to every other store.
Yeah, so that's one thing I always think when Anthony asked that question, the first thing I thought of was like, it's just Magic is the big one.
Well, these days D&D is a big booming thing too, so we like to always have some D&D tables set up. So I definitely look at comparing it to D&D.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like for a wargaming space, for the same size, you need 2 players because it's 6x4. For D&D, you'll fit 8 players in that same space. So.
And that was actually the reason I wanted to ask that question, Lindsay, is because, you know, our 6x4 tables are quite large. And to be honest with you, we take up more space because we've got our games cases and our dead pile and our books, and we like to spread our crap as wide as possible.
We try to condense it. We
try, but it's hard. It's genuinely hard.
I agree. From my games of Legion, I'm the same. I got stuff everywhere.
But then the challenge is that on a 6x4 table, you could have 2 games of Magic at the same time. And, you know, again, not trying to give away your trade secrets or anything, but I can only assume that Magic sales, either one, they take up less inventory space, so you can have more cards and more product in a smaller space. The meta seems to shift a lot quicker than in Sigmar. So people are buying more packs, more. I don't know what they're called, but they have like those campaign
packs are good. Yeah,
it's campaign box something. I think it's called. Yeah.
So people are spending more money. So of course, if you can have more people spending more money coming in more often, like Magic is, and you know, we were talking the other day. Someone suggested, hey, let's do another 2-day event, and the first thing you were to consider is I've got other events like Magic, like you know, maybe Kill Team.
No. My first thoughts was Saturday's quite busy in store. We have a lot of people that come in to play so many different things. We've got board game meetup groups, we've got D&D players, we've got Magic casual players. Saturday for us, we want to make sure everyone can come in and have a great time, no matter what game they play, that we're going to have a table available. That also includes wargaming. Like, we're very proud that we always have a minimum of 2 wargaming tables set up at all times, so people can come and use any time. So no matter when they want to come in, they know they can come in, grab a miniatures table.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got all the terrain for every game, like Sigmar, 40k, you know, Legion, Dystopian Wars. We've got blue painted sea tables. You name it, we've got a table for it.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to pull out the expectation piece. Is that, you know, just because I had a great idea of I want to run a 2-day event and I can get 20 people at the Games Cube or any of my local stores. There's obviously a trade-off, and the trade-off is that, you know, Lindsay and other game stores are bringing in a whole range of people that we need to consider before we take a proposal to them. Yeah.
And also you would have to somehow cover the cost of, like, for example, if we do a 2-day event at, let's say, Games Cube, the cost of door fee probably would have to be a lot higher than usual because Lindsay's losing out on other customers coming in. That sound about right?
Yeah, sounds about right. But as long as we can fit everyone in, everyone has a good time, that's the main thing for us. As I keep saying, like, I'm a pretty simple person like that. I just want everyone to have a great time and enjoy the space that we have. Like, we've worked really hard. We've just done a refit of the new carpet, new painted shop, and everything. So we've got a really great premium play space for people. Like, player, I forgot the word, but player experience is number 1 at the Games Cube. So we want everyone to walk away feeling great.
Yeah, and again, this is not about, you know, picking on anybody. It's more just a consideration about when you take an idea or proposal over to a store, you need to factor in that foot traffic. You know, there are other community members, and obviously not taking away space from people who might be playing their regular Saturday Dungeons and Dragons game, and all of a sudden you're asking to take that away, which brings me to Chris, which is about how did you actually get the Irresistible Force event, Brizhammer, off the ground? Like, I know it's your event and it's a Brizhammer event, but how did you approach the store? What did you have to negotiate? Like, give us the breakdown for someone who might be thinking about running a 1-day or a 2-day event at their local game store.
Sorry, 1 second. Let me just say one last thing. Stores might also be looking to diversify in what they do. So always approach your local store and talk to them. That's the number 1 thing to do.
Good chalk. Have a chat.
Yep.
Yeah, number 1.
Communication's key.
The Stratty, what was talk us through the process and how it happened, and, you know, give us insights if I was thinking about doing that in the future.
Yeah, so for me it was pretty easy because I already, like I said, I already had a relationship with John and Josh. I'd known them for a while already before we asked them, but I mean, they didn't really have much of an insight into Age of Sigmar in general, and they were pretty keen just to make sure that they had, you know, a community coming into their store to buy stuff, which is a big thing. If no one knows they're there, then from Age of Sigmar, then, I mean, they're not going to go buy Warhammer Fantasy models from that shop. So we approached them we're just trying to figure out what we kind of wanted, how much the ticket prices were and that kind of stuff. Everything to do with, like, putting all the prize money back into the store, all that terrain we buy from them. Like, we actually we set up our whole thing. We bring mats and terrain and everything. We do all of it ourselves. We don't really rely on them to stock the tables or anything like that. So that does help. But otherwise, yeah, they're really easy to get along with. We didn't really have too much problems.
Solid.
So I guess
you made it sound so easy.
Too.
Yeah, honestly, it was pretty easy for us. I mean, they're a very good shop.
Lindsay, what were you going to say?
So with Brizhammer now, it was Brizhammer, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So now you moved to a pub, right?
Yeah, not permanently, just for this event.
Yeah. So how do you transport the tables and things like that? Like from my perspective, that must be a pain in the ass, right? Like.
It's not too bad. I mean, all the training stuff I've got literally at my house. Like it's just sitting over there, in boxes. So it's all packed up nice and neat. You know.
I know how many boxes of terrain I got. That must be a bloody big house you got there to fit all that terrain for.
Yes, I packed it nice and small.
You should see what's behind my webcam, Lindsay. There is so much. Look, you can see over there. There's terrain there. Just a small sample of that.
Yeah, you'd have a lot more with the printer going all the time. Jeez.
He has 2 printers going. It's not just one. It's goddamn 2.
Yeah.
So just to summarize what you were saying, so having a relationship with the store, I mean, whether you either know them personally is important or even just playing there. I'm sure if I'm playing at my local Good Games very often and I approach them, it's probably a bit more trust and credibility as opposed to just rocking up and randomly asking.
Yeah, that's it. You need the relationship there. I think that does help a lot. I mean, it's hard to kind of just coming off the street, I think, and just try and push your way in there, especially if you don't know the scene very well down there. We book our stuff in advance, a few months at least, so we try and get ahead of it all so they know, this weekend is this event. They make sure it's up on the Facebook page. Everyone knows. They've still got a couple of tables to come down and play games, just, pick up games and stuff like that if you need to. So we make sure we leave a bit of space for everyone else to kind of do that kind of stuff. But yeah, most of the time people just come in and are surprised to see a whole room full of people playing just one game. Everything's painted. Everyone's having a great time, yelling and yahooing. And yeah, I think everyone kind of, it does kind of give a good vibe for the store.
Yeah,
in general.
I imagine if I walk into a game store and I see this high energy, lots of cool people, Lindsay talked about godlike painting. Although Matt Terrell says Lindsay obviously hasn't seen Liam's painting, so that's a bit cheeky from the Mayor of Dubbo.
It's not that bad.
But like people come in, they see, they're probably interested, and they obviously ask questions to that game store owner. Chris, you mentioned having to, not having to, but you reinvest most, if not all, of your funds back into the store as price support, and
Yeah, we do. We definitely do that. We make sure it's every prize goes back in. Everything we buy is from the store. I buy all my armies from there. So do pretty much everyone else at the locals that play. They all buy their stuff from the same. I mean, besides the fact that it's actually just they got a really good price.
Yeah,
it's just better than anyone else anyway. I can go down the road and get it for 20% more.
Oh, watch out! I've got Lindsay here as well.
No, because I do know that the other thing with local game stores that aren't GW is they do the discount thing, which gets people to go into not just the normal GW, they go to the actual local store, and that builds up a stronger relationship when you show that you support the store. Is that correct?
I completely agree with that as well. The thing is, I know in Sydney, because there's a lot of Games Workshop stores around as well, we get some people that are just I have to buy from Games Workshop because it's Games Workshop. The thing is, all of us as independent stores, we have to buy all of our stuff from Games Workshop. So Games Workshop get all the money anyway. So I'd say support 2 businesses for your one sale.
Yeah. This is me being old GW, because since I was an old staff member and stuff, I remember I would always be yep, got to support GW. But the amount of times when I'm in Lindsay's store, I'm like, I may as well should grab some stuff here because Lindsay deals with my shit every month. And I just do my month purchases there at times.
Which actually brings me into another point that I really wanted to ask about, was about paying where you play. Now, I'm a massive advocate of paying where you play. I can only imagine, Lindsay, again, you as the game store owner, if people are buying online and, they're importing from UK and, they're basically buying everywhere that isn't a bricks and mortar retailer like yourself, and then expecting to use a table like yours for free. So
yeah, we get that.
I know it happens, but obviously, you know, we're not going to be able to enjoy bricks and mortar stores like you for a long time if we're not investing in some degree in a store like yourself.
Yeah, well, obviously, I can't agree with you more there. If people don't buy stuff, we don't exist. It's as easy as that. And obviously, floor space, we're in Parramatta, CBD, so it's obviously quite expensive. So sure, everyone can find everything they want cheaper if they search for it, but then, yep, their little hobby location might disappear.
So the broad question I have for everyone is, why is it important to pay where you play?
Otherwise, you'd have nowhere else to play. I think that's as simple as that. I mean, if you don't support them, it's got to come from somewhere. So,
well, the thing is as well, it's like if you don't buy it and the store closes down, there won't be more people seeing the game. There'll be less exposure, things like that. So the community will just shrink through time as well.
It also helps that, I mean, I noticed that Irresistible Force I think they're about 5 times more Games Workshop Age of Sigmar especially stock than they used to have.
Yeah.
Just simply from, you know, now they need to keep up with it because they know they'll sell it.
Well, the prime example of people trying to save their 10% or 20% or whatever it is through online stores was War Machine, which is pretty much a complete dead game now because of it.
What's the story behind that? Sorry.
Oh, War Machine was you know, steampunk miniatures game, and all online retailers only just did like 30% off RRP. So all stores stopped doing it. The whole community died, and the game went belly up.
Yeah, I remember I go to, you know, I work in the CBD, and often I might need to pick up like a Vallejo paint or something, and I'll go into Good Games Town Hall. And I remember back in the day when I was really big in Frostgrave, the War Machine / Warmer Hordes.
Warmer Hordes, yeah.
That was a massive wall. That was huge. And it kind of just disappeared.
Yep. Like the company that made a rule that online stores aren't allowed to stock it, basically. But by that stage, it was already too late, and all hobby stores had dropped it, and c'est la vie.
Yeah, which is, you know, and again, like, you know, you might play at, you know, I support my local Games Workshop as well. You know, Liverpool and Miranda are my 2 locals, but it's important that I think about spreading my hobby love, and, you know, and even if I do my pre-orders at my Games Workshop, because it's literally 5 minutes down the road, but I come to Lindsay every month, you know, I make sure I still spend money, whether it's on paint, whether it's on tools and accessories. I buy drinks and candy bars at the store, so I'm just, you know, making sure that I'm contributing to some degree, and you know, I'm buying things as well there.
Yeah, I never leave the shop without something in my hands. That's for sure. I can't help it anyway, even if I didn't want to.
It's called plastic crack for a reason.
Oh, terrible.
It's literally called plastic crack for a reason. Yeah, like I know. Yeah, for me, it's just like I say it's super important. When I worked, it's like similar to like I support Lindsay when I can, but like when I heavily went to the city store, I would always buy my stuff there because I know this one city, like I know GW head office doesn't really like probably think about this because they can cover it from the other stores, but like I know rent's expensive for a storefront. That much space in Sydney would cost like a fortune. So if I don't buy what I want or what I'm going to use at that store, then I'm not, like, that store won't exist, as you said. And like, yeah, like where the city store is right next to it is a Good Games that sells it like cheaper. But I was using downstairs, like the actual GW, way more than I was using the upstairs. But now since I'm using the upstairs more because I'm playing a lot later, I'm now supporting that store. And that makes sense. Yeah. Like I've like it's not like I'm saying like, oh, screw you, GW store, blah 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 blah. It's more like, oh no, wait, since I'm using this store way more, I may as well just buy my stuff to show them that, like, hey, I'm gonna get stuff off you. And then at the moment, and I don't know if you agree with me, Anthony, but the Age of Sigmar upstairs is a lot smaller now.
Are you talking about, sorry, when you say upstairs, you're talking about
Good Games?
Good Games.
Yeah. It's a lot smaller, but it's a lot more 40K now. Yeah,
and I think that comes back to, again, making sure that you're contributing. And and I'm going to go back to Lindsay at the Games Cube for a second, is that over the last couple of years, I've noticed the quality of terrain has significantly increased. And I remember, was it 2 or 3 months ago, Lindsay gave a whole bunch of terrain boxes to people and said, hey, paint this for me. And, you know, obviously he probably paid for himself. Obviously it's discounted to some degree as a retailer, but, you know, he was able to reinvest into higher quality terrain because we were investing in the business. So it was like this, you know, there's a Lion King would say, the circle of life, where we're paying him, so he pays us. And it's like this, you know, we're all growing as a community because we're both benefiting.
Yeah, well, you've all got such great painted models, as I said. It would just look like a shame if you had like crappy terrain on the tables, like grey unpainted stuff, or terrain that's falling apart. So you need to represent the level that you are.
Liam, any questions for yourself? I know I probably dominated a lot. I've got a lot of questions.
I got that one question that I sent to you earlier, and this is towards Lindsay. When it comes to your events, is that I do know that you, since day one, you don't have like as strict as a painting kind of thing. I know you're talking about our painting being amazing, but I do know you've seen some of us with like unpainted stuff and everything. And do you feel as though with you having that, you're seeing quite a few like new faces coming through, or like people, like it's a lot more welcoming, and that's like what you're pretty much going towards? Like you don't want to be like, I know this is happening every month, but I don't want to like cut people out. Does that make sense?
Oh, I know how time poor people can be in modern society, so not everybody has time to paint. Like I've got many models laying around the house that are unpainted that I always plan on painting, but I know I won't get around to. So if like you have rules of like, I understand at a big event like a GT, BOAB, CanCon thing, you probably should have some rules of painting because you want to show off the miniatures game to the best it can be done, so other people can see it and be like, wow, that's just so cool. But like in a local hobby store, everyone is a different level, so I don't think there should be any painting regulations or things like that. But yeah, like some people are very intimidated by good painters and they're like, wow, like I look at your stuff and I'm like, I have no idea how you get these effects, but I want to know how to do it.
Yeah, so that was pretty much like the big question, because I think you've covered quite a lot of questions, Anthony.
Is there anything that you guys want to mention? You know, I'm steering the conversation a lot, and I've got a couple more questions that I wanted to ask. But
I've got some questions for the whole community, I guess. Like we've done the same Games Cube tournament for many years. It's always 2,000 points. Would you like something new? What do you want? Because we just keep doing the same thing until we get feedback of what the community wants. We'll just keep doing it. So what I'm saying is, make sure you talk to your local store. Make sure you give them the feedback. Maybe you'd like more points. Maybe you'd like less points. We don't know unless you tell us what you'd like.
I think I'm not going to speak for all of Australia, or for like any other game store.
Are you sure?
Oh, come on, yeah,
are you sure? I mean, you've got a big voice on Twitter. Are you sure you don't want to share your opinion, Liam?
Trying to say quickly, haven't started a Twitter war in 6 months. Yeah. Let me be. Right, I've been on such a good best behavior. Holy crap. No, but I know for a fact that some people do like, but this is like niche. I do know some people like some of the 1,000 points and everything, like meeting engagements and stuff. But I do know for a fact that since a lot of people know that the standard game for Age of Sigmar or any of these like wargaming events is like you find what most GTs or events are playing, because that's what most people strive for. If that makes sense, to get an army done. Yeah. Like I myself, I know for the first little while with Games Cube and Mago, you did the same thing where we use that every month to practice a new list before like a GT in 3 months ahead. Like that's what we did. Like we turned up to practice, and like that's why some of our stuff wasn't painted. It was like a work in progress. And so I think, Lindsay, what you're doing is perfectly fine. But if you want to like change it up, you can always look to see if the community wants to do something like meeting engagements. I don't know, but I know.
Well, what I'm saying is as well, it's if we're doing the right thing, give us the confirmation back that we are doing the right thing as well. Like silence is the worst thing.
Yeah, I myself are quite happy, and I know that some of the regulars are quite happy. But yeah, like we'll get the community to let you guys know. But I do know for a fact that like when it comes to events, the standard is 2,000 points. I don't know if that's the same up in Queensland.
Yeah, standard's 2,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have talked to Irresistible Force about running. Well, not me running, but them running, and I just help guide them with the meeting engagements. Just having something to get people into the game a bit more as well, if they're not actually playing. I know a lot of people see us playing all the tournaments, or they see just your regular games. They walk past and everything's painted, looks great. I think that usually gets them involved enough to want to play it. It's successful. I think they want a bit more manageable kind of army to go for.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think you guys have raised really valid points. And again, speaking on behalf of game stores as opposed to specifically one store, whether it's Irresistible Force or Games Cube, I think it's imperative that there's feedback both ways, whether it's, Games Cube, if you're not happy with our attendance, or, we're not being disruptive, or so we're being disruptive or not friendly to people who are like watching the game. I think it's imperative to let us know what's happening and what we can do to improve. And you're 100% right. It's about sharing what you can do and what you guys can do to help us drive more people to the event. And I think, we had a good discussion on Sunday about what is the identity of the event. Are we trying to drive new people? Is it, as Liam said, practice for a tournament? Is it a way to practice and just muck around? And then that kind of decides, do we run 3 games in a time frame? Is it less points? Is it missions that are narrative based?
It also dictates the prizes, if it's like just the top 2 or whatever, or does it go down, things like that too. So it's always important to know.
Because we started at top with just 1, 2, and 3. When this event first started at Games Cube, it was about 1, 2, and 3, and it was a lot of the prize pool was at the top.
And Lindsay would pick his favorite model painted.
Yeah.
But since then, you've created a whole range of other prizes throughout, because the feedback is that people don't want to spend X amount of dollars and it be the same winners every month, because they're bringing the most strongest lists that are people just want to roll dice and have fun on a Sunday and get 3 games in a row.
Yeah. Everyone wants to play for different things, so everyone needs to have their opportunity to play for what they want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example where you don't have a painting restriction. You don't even care if they're on square bases, because if it means someone comes in and gets to play with their old Warhammer Fantasy, or they bring over their old models and they want to get into the game, that's good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. More mums and teachers would say in the industry is great.
Yep.
So the last 2 burning questions that I have before you guys might want to throw anything else out was, actually, is there anything else you guys want to throw out before I ask the final 2?
No, I'm good.
I'd just say, everyone. I'd recommend everyone to just talk to their local store about a chat. Like, if they want to run an event with Age of Sigmar or any game, just stores are just blind, trying to do the best they can. We're obviously very time poor a lot of the time. For me, I imagine I don't go to other stores. I haven't been to another Magic to another store for many years, because I don't have something to play or the time to play. But I don't know how many stores have like miniature boards and stuff, and like the space requirements. So it's obviously quite hard. So can you tell me how many other stores you go to actually have miniature boards, and how many? Because
I can say, like, this is the interesting part is, for example, let's go back to Good Games. Good Games is definitely a trading card game store. I can't deny that. But however, there are some times where they actually have plenty of boards, but they don't think they have enough to run a 1-day event. I don't know if that's the same in all of Australia. But from Lindsay, to answer your question, I have seen quite a few game stores that have the facilities to run an event, and they have enough. But generally, they're going back to what we said like a few minutes ago, was it's still so Magic card, trading card heavy.
So to give you a quick overview of Sydney, you've got Hall of Heroes, who runs an event, a monthly event, and they've got probably a very similar space to yourself. You've got Gamezilla out at Liverpool, who can only run up to a 12-player event.
Well,
and one of the challenges
they closed down today.
Okay, well, sorry that we
Jeez.
didn't go there
Wow.
anyway, because
Whoa.
what I was gonna say is for the Australian Masters we have a minimum of X amount of players. I think it's 16 players, or I can't remember how many
It's
is.
24.
24 players. So for someone who creates an event, if you can't get that minimum player cap, it's a hard draw. I think Tabletop Empires I don't know where they are. I know Eric goes out there often, but there's not a lot of game stores who have more than a couple of tables, at least in Sydney. Like Combat Company doesn't have that many tables.
Yeah. They have like 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah. And I'm not discrediting anybody, but it's just look after those game stores that have the tables. And if, as Stratty's pointed out, if you want to run an event and they don't have these tabletops ready for miniature gaming, maybe you need to supplement and prove that this is a space worth investing into.
Up here, we're pretty lucky. Up here, we got. I think most shops seem to have a fair few tables, especially. So you got, Battle Station at Toowoomba. They've got a really large space up there, and you've got, I think there's something like 30 to 40 players they can hold. It's a really big room, but that they've got Mount Cravat Games Workshop, that's the flagship kind of store there, the championship store, I think they call it.
Yeah.
They've got a big hall at the back. Just they hold I think it's 24 player events there quite often. More if it's 4x4s. Irresistible Forces, they got 10 tables to 12. Yeah, it can probably fit in 13 or 14 if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And there's a few other ones around, like Dark Magician. They had 20 people in that last event. There's a few around. So we're pretty lucky up here, I guess. I didn't realise there was that kind of. I guess it's also too. Our spaces are probably cheaper to rent.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
So you can afford a bigger space, so it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I can say in Melbourne, when I was down there for Lords of War, it was a 3-level gaming store.
House of War?
Not House of War. It was Game Laboratory in CBD. So CBD area, 3-level gaming store, and they ran an event with 60 plus players. And the basement level was a bar. So,
that's where you're getting the money from.
and House of War out in Western Melbourne as well.
That was
same thing. They got a bar.
They got a bar, and also they held when Ardfist or whatever it was called was run there. It was like 24 plus players, plus their other games being played at the same time. So, and it was a large space as well, and also a huge range of games and stuff. So, I think with Sydney, we just don't have the space really in our gaming stores, and that's why when we do our independent events, at times we go to halls or RSL clubs because they are humongous.
Lindsay can't hold 100 of my players. So.
We could try. We could take down that Indian restaurant downstairs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Final questions. Final questions is broad question. First one is, how can the wargaming community as a whole better support their local friendly game store? Like, what can we do to help them?
They can give them more shout outs on social media is always one. People are always talking about where can they get this stuff, where can they get that stuff, and I always see the first post is always to some online only shop that realistically, sure, saving a lot of money, that's always important to everyone, and for some very small percentage, it probably keeps them in the hobby. But I never see local game stores so much mentioned in them.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
I know the challenge, again, as Liam and I was a former admin. Liam is still an admin. I think the challenge that we have is, at least in the Facebook Sydney group, if one company advertises, then it just opens up this massive spam of advertising. But I think what you just said is a really good point of shouting out and Even like I try to make a conscious effort of sharing photos like, hey, look how much fun we're having at the Games Cube or at Good Games or wherever, and driving that excitement and enthusiasm and that FOMO if you don't come next time.
Well, something else I'd say. Yeah, something else I'd say is like local game stores, we're probably not going to be the expert in what you want to do, but that doesn't mean we can't buy it for you, order it in, things like that. Like, obviously, Games Workshop are the experts in the trade. Like, I can never compete with expertise, and nor would I want to. Like, they're the best for that.
I can say, as again, ex-GW, GW stores are designed for beginners. Straight out, like the staff there are trained to teach new beginners and help veterans learn a new skill. That's it, really. When it comes to selling and stuff, that's when the independent stores are great to help out. It's like if they can do the stock and stuff and everything. Like I remember, like we were trying to get customers to keep coming in and grabbing stuff, but in the end, some people say I just can't travel into the city. I'm like, okay, cool. Go to your local game store. Like there's a local game store that has something there for you. Like Northern Beaches kids, there's not a GW there. So, but they have like heaps of gaming stores. And
no, they have one gaming store called.
I swear they had like 2 or 3, but yeah, they have one gaming store. Go support that store, kind of thing. And that's what I was like telling them is like, if you want to get stuff, they can do it. So,
Decked Out Gaming and Manning, I think it is.
Yeah,
is that And from what I can tell, it's again a trading card game store. They don't really do much.
Yeah, it's 100% trading card store, but I didn't know what range of Games Workshop stuff they have at all. So
I think it's a small range, but as we've mentioned in this show, is like if you buy the stock, they'll make the effort to order it in for you. But like, yeah, it's for me, it's GW, as you said, Lindsay, are the expertise, but they're expertise and for beginners, not for like people who've been in the game now for like 6+ months.
So yeah, what can you do to help support your local store? Yep, buy more stuff from your local store.
Yeah, like that's one thing.
Chris, what
I
yourself?
think also when you're if you are running an event at the local store like we do, make sure to mention to people just to buy stuff, to support the local store while you're there, while you're having your games. I mean, it also helps to get down and actually play games at the store, just to show it's busy. I think a busy store will usually increase more numbers if you see people playing where you want to play. So I think it kind of helps get that community kind of feel, and the more community feel you got in the shop, the more time you're going to go down there, the more time you're there, the more money you're going to spend.
Yeah. So one thing I was talking about. So back to the so I know the owner of Gamezilla, Aaron Nicastri. He's a mate of mine, and I had lunch with him today. And he's like, "Yep, one of the worst things in our industry is people come into the stores. All businesses want people to come into the stores. Game stores don't have that problem. People come in, but they don't spend money so much. But like they'll say, I want to buy a booster pack for Magic or something small, but then they'll go and spend $20 for their lunch, and they'll bring it back to the store and eat it in the store, where we have to then dispose of all their rubbish, clean up after them, and do all these things. So they always spend $20 on lunch, but they never spend $20 over the counter." So,
interesting.
Is that, and again, you mentioned Gamezilla is literally closing down, and that's unfortunate. How much should a player, and this is obviously a very funny question to ask, but how much should we think about spending in your store to help you stay afloat? Like, is it that $20 kind of at minimum is a good way to keep you on the ground, or it's a funny question. Like if I buy a paint, that's like, oh, that's nice, but that's not enough. Like what would be a good contribution to help you at minimum?
Well, you think of it like phone games. You can buy like a little added-on thing on your phone game for $1. But if like 1 million people do it, that's a lot of money all of a sudden. So it doesn't matter how much you spend, as long as everybody helps support their local store. That's probably the number one thing. It's not about how much, it's like everyone contributing.
And I will call out as well, there's been plenty of times where for Lindsay, Good Games, a whole bunch of people where I've wanted to buy something and it hasn't been on shelf, but by asking the question, hey, do you stock Badger airbrushes? Do you stock blah, blah, blah? Because you've got a very deep distribution network, it's often something you can organize where without asking, I'm like, oh, I go to eBay, but actually that doesn't help you stay afloat. And funnily enough, you actually could probably do it for the same price, if not a very similar price.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember this one time I was running around Lindsay's store and I really wanted the Arcadia Quest game, which was like a Kickstarter game.
Oh, yeah.
I remember just running around like, Lindsay, where the hell is this game? And
Right
and then you also said, hey, it's right here. And you also mentioned to me, we don't have the expansion packs in like all of them, but if you want one, I can get it organized. And like the fact that like it was just a simple question like, hey, where is it? Like I didn't go off and like give up. I literally just be like, hey, where is this game? Because I expected like it was just like it's a game that I thought you would have, and you said I do have it, but also with the expansions, I can get that for you if you want them. I was like, oh hell yeah! Like it's knowing that like okay cool, if I want the expansions, I'm messaging Lindsay straight away.
Or your other game store, like
like you literally just ask a question, and if they answer it saying like we can organize it for you, then you go cool. Now I know who to go to when I want that stock.
Yeah. So, yeah. And Chris, anything else from yourself around like how else, or what are some other ideas that you might have around supporting your local game store? So obviously running events and driving traffic, and that's obviously good. Anything else you do with the likes of Irresistible Force or anyone else around you?
Not really. Usually I just like you were saying before, if you want something, just ask for it. I mean, I know if there's nothing on the shelf at Games Workshop that I say something I want that's not the floor stock, I can order it from Games Workshop and it'll get there in 3 days or something like that. I can also do the same thing with Irresistible Force. I literally just message them or email them, and then they put it on the list and it's there the next week. Every time.
The last things I'll say is make sure.
I got a good one.
All right. Well, I'll say my one, and then I'll come back to you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Is to help set up and pack up. Help set up and pack up. It's probably Lindsay's mentioned that he comes in early to help set up and to pack up. The least I can do is pack up some terrain and to help put up some boards and to do my share. And even to put my rubbish in the bloody bin. If I see someone else's rubbish, just help out and make sure that we're continuing to be welcomed every time we want to return. Or if I want to do something extra, he's going to remember that, or she is going to remember that I've left their work site in a respectable manner.
One thing quickly before we do Lindsay, that's okay, because it's about Lindsay's and independent stores, is GW have a set list of stock that they can have. And most of the times when you don't have it if they don't have it on the shelf, you have to order it online. And as Chris mentioned, it's a 3-day wait.
Through the direct range, yep.
And as Lindsay said, is that he has to buy the stock himself and then put it on the shelf. So there's going to be so many times where your independent store will probably have what GW doesn't have on the shelf because they've picked that product to be on their shelf and GW hasn't. So for example, I have literally, I don't know for a fact that there's a Start Collecting box that I want. And I've literally just looked at Lindsay's store and a couple of other independent stores, and they have it in stock. And I know that every GW store doesn't have it on their shelves anymore. Which is a
good example is I saw on Lindsay's store do you remember like last year or the year before there was that Christmas box set of like the free cities? There was a Hammer Hall, there was an Anvil Guard. Lindsay still has one. He has might be a Hammer Hall one. But that's been out of stock for a long time. And if I get excited about the cities of Sigmar and I'm like, I want to start a Stormcast free people kind of army, there's that nugget of gold there. And I was looking at your shelf the other day, and there is a whole bunch of nuggets in there that are no longer available. Not that they're out of production, but it's just these value box sets have been discontinued. Just make them
once and stuff,
yeah, like you guys buy your stock. And that's it. So you guys will probably have stuff that GW doesn't have, which is something to mention, is that like everyone just relies on GW expecting to have it on a shelf. But now for the fact that I know that now when I'm going to come in 3 weeks and that box is going to be like it says online you have it. So I'm like, sweet. That's what I want to hear.
Cool. So, yeah. And also, we're not saying not to support Games Workshop as well. Like that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying but like, if
pay where you play. That's what I'm saying. Pay where you play.
Pay where you play, because as we said, your independent stores are paying the stock before you pay, not just like unlike GW. So they are they're investing space into products and stuff. So like as you pay, you're pretty much bring that back investment for them. So yeah, and making it worthwhile for them. So yeah.
Last question before I wrap up, or I open the
sorry,
floor.
my last thing was going to be
yes.
So one thing that's probably the most easiest thing you can do is pre-order your at your local store, because local stores, we don't know how much or how good a product's going to be. So usually for us, we'll probably get 2 of each new release each week as a guide, but we don't know how good it's going to be because nobody ever pre-orders it. So jump on, pre-order, talk to your local store about a pre-order so they can get their stock for release day correct.
So just to clarify, because people may not know this, so I can pre-order at a local game store a product?
Of course. Yeah.
No, like it's a legitimate question because, in Games Workshop world, on Saturday at X time, where it's like 12 o'clock or whatever it is, there is that pre-release window that we can now pre-release our product. Now, what does that process look like for the local game store?
It's identical.
On average.
It's identical.
So I come in and I just like, hey, I
want what comes out next Saturday. And you'll be like, excellent, done. I'll put it in and we'll make sure we have one for you.
Okay. So that's something that people might not know that you guys can do.
But the thing is, we don't usually find out what their new releases are until after they do.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know what the next week's releases are until Monday when I get my phone call.
Oh, so
okay.
But what I do personally is I go to the Games Workshop page, see what the new releases for next week are, and I add them to our website. So
perfect. So if Warcry was coming and I wanted to pre-order Warcry, for example, I could just message you and same thing and potentially get a discount if you're offering one.
Well, we offer a 10% off all Games Workshop discount, so it's easy.
But not everyone. I guess I'm speaking more broadly. Not everyone may offer a discount, but
independent store sometimes doesn't. Yeah,
it's up to the store.
Yeah.
And then the final question that I have, good point by the way, is pre-orders definitely would help. The last question is probably on the reverse side, which is going to be how can local game stores better support their communities?
We can for us, we reinvest back into things like we've discussed already, like terrain, gaming space. Like we just had I said, like for us, we reinvest back. We have brand new carpet in, freshly painted. We're investing into play space and play quality a lot. So, but how else is it's a tough one. It's more about hearing back from the community, I think, because it's hard because. As I said, 60 new board games come out a week, so I've got to read a lot of reviews and things like that. So sometimes, we're just blinded by the amount of stuff that distributors send our way each and every day, that it's hard to concentrate and actually get the work done and find out what we need to do.
That's fair. Stratty, you want to say something?
I was going to say having a nice space to play games in is always good. It was just before said that same thing. They moved shop, a little bit over to get a bigger gaming space and also to have the opportunity to do a repaint and nice carpet, stuff like that makes a big difference.
Yeah, we cut down our tables from 32 players for miniatures down to 24 at the moment because we want people to have a better play experience. We don't want so much bum to bum and squishing through everywhere, which is often the way of miniature tournaments.
Yep.
Liam, anything you'd want to add to that?
I don't know. With Lindsay, he's pretty much. I remember, I think last year he did personally come to your event and congratulate whoever got the prize that he put in towards. That was his way of showing back to the community in the way, saying thanks heaps for supporting my store, and also him being also I want to support your event, which was cool. But yeah, I think going back to what Lindsay's been done is he supports us quite well. He's giving us tables. He also updates the tables. So I'm guessing with the new terrain that came out 3-4 weeks ago, I think Lindsay got a couple for himself.
Yep, there's some shattered the Dominion temples. Yeah. We were playing on them this week, which was great. Yeah.
So that there, he is putting it back for the he is investing his own stuff into the community, being hey guys, I'm getting some new stuff for you. Here you go. and that's just awesome to see. So
And they were really fun to paint as well. So
yeah, so I think one thing like that some local stores can do is just like if they're going to sponsor an event. I do know, for example, at Sydney Slaughter, Chris's event, Combat Company, who was their sponsor, did show up.
And War and Peace as well. I believe War and Peace also contributed to Slaughter.
Yeah, but Combat Company also turned up to his event as well to be like, hey, what's up, guys? And I know that Lindsay would probably do the same as well. Just trying to be like, hey, guys, what's up? Thanks for doing this and stuff like that. So that there is like a perfect way to show like how to give back to the community. So like if you're sponsoring an event, show that like extra mile of not just being like a name on a piece of paper saying like I've supported this event. Like if you can show up, be like, hey, but I understand life gets in the way at times and you can't make it, but that's one awesome thing to do. And I thought it was really cool seeing Lindsay do it last year and then seeing Combat Company do it. But like these guys are actually showing up, showing their support. And like Lindsay's walked around last year at Sydney GT watching our games and stuff as well when he was also running a stall at the event at Moab. So yeah, just like that's just awesome in my opinion.
I checked in on everyone at CanCon as well. That was great to see everyone.
Oh yeah, and
time there.
Yeah, like that's just perfect. He goes, this is where some of my customers are or my regular guests are. Let's see what they've been up to. And that there is really cool. And that makes everyone be like, yeah, cool. I can like Lindsay's a friendly face and same with Combat. This is like just in general for independent stores is like they're a friendly face. I can go to them and stuff. So it's really good.
Yeah, and you know, I got to give a shout out to Martin as well, who I don't know if he still works at Good Games Town Hall, but certainly Martin was a great advocate from the Town Hall Good Games as well. So I think that relationship and interest, obviously we are one of many games, but building a relationship, you know, for our international viewers, you know, I know Ian and Richie from the Just Play crew out at Manchester, they're very integrated in the tournament scene. There's a lot of these local game stores. Element Games is quite in depth with the community as well over in England. Lindsay, you know, something that you did that you may or may not remember, but I remember at Sydney GT last year, you came and gave me an extra prize because you wanted to just, you know, because we had exceeded our tournament numbers, and you gave me a fresh box of Malign Sorcery, which was really cool. And the vouchers that you made, you used like a wax seal to kind of stamp, and you know, you went above and beyond, and I think that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, I love this thing.
Stratty, anything else you can think of about how a game store can help us, support us, build our community?
So at John from Invisible Force, usually with a big release, he organises, say, I remember like something like, say, Soul Wars or something like that comes out. He'll do like everyone show up and play games on the Friday night, and at midnight they release the boxes and everyone goes home with their new toys, which is always a bonus. Means you don't have to wait till the morning.
Yeah, no, I like that. And you know, something that I would propose to a game store who might be listening to or is interested is there's often at least in Australia, and probably on Twitter as well, we have like Work in Progress Wednesday, which is an opportunity for people to share their work in progress models or conversions. And often there's you know, people are sharing stuff, and you know, maybe a once a quarter painting event or like a small $10 voucher or something could go a long way to keep the momentum and excitement alive as much as we're supporting and making sure we're driving events and sales their way. So,
well, I got a question for you, Anthony. So I want to say the community is only as good as the stakeholders in it, and you both, Liam and yourself, Anthony, are very great stakeholders in it. So I want to thank you both for having me on the show as well. And I want to put this to you. Would you like to one day come in and we run a Age of Sigmar open day in store on a different date? So it's like, if you're interested to come in and play. We can advertise it and stuff and get some games or painting or like just a Warhammer open day type thing.
Yes, I will take you up on that offer.
That'll be sweet. And I'm sure it's like other stores like Irresistible Force probably would do something similar as well. Like that would be a really cool idea. And it like, yeah.
Yeah, we usually coincide them with like a big release or something like that, like the you know, when the GHB drops or something like that. It's always something important to kind of get everyone together, and everyone wants. Usually, everyone is in part of that, so it helps. Does help.
Yeah, book us in. Let's talk offline. Let's talk about something. I think it's, you know, this whole channel is about helping the community and growing the community. And I think as much as we love our tournaments, equally it's important for us to reinvest our time and showing people how to get started in the hobby. And I think there's definitely opportunity that we can do stuff together. And vice versa, the experienced people who are watching this, make that offer to your games club and your games store.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think we've covered this quite a lot, actually. I think there's been a lot of detail.
I'm just still laughing at the chat, by the way, at that one comment, Anthony.
Well, we won't talk about that. Chris, is there any shout outs you want to give if people want to learn more about you and get in contact and maybe even come to one of your events? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can find the Brizhammer Facebook page on Facebook, obviously. It's pretty easy to find, Brizhammer with a Z. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Stratty666, that's with 2 Ds.
I've got your Twitter in the comment section, by the way, the channel description, and I will update it probably tomorrow with the Brizhammer Facebook page. So I'll pop it down in there.
Yeah, and obviously, if anyone wants to know any information about Brizhammer at all, just message me anytime. Happy to talk.
And I'll be there. I'm 100%. I've got clearance from the wife, and Hayden's confirmed that I've got a bed at his house. So I will be at Brizhammer 4.
That's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about that.
Be pretty sweet.
I'm looking forward to it.
Now. I'm jealous.
Lindsay, if people want to know more about you and find you, where can people find you?
Well, obviously, thegamescube.com is our website. And you can click on the events tab at the top there, and it'll take you to our 3 Facebooks, one for trading cards, one for miniatures, and one for role-playing. So click on the miniatures one, and you can find out more about our Age of Sigmar days on the 3rd Sunday of every month.
Well done. And before I wrap it up with Liam, I want to call out again Thomas Holdsworth, who's made a cracking comment and said, if your FLGS isn't the F, being friendly, then as you'd like them to be, then tell them to watch this video and learn stuff. I think, Lindsay, you have showed why it's important to have a great working relationship with the community and really invest and be more than just a business who's here to take our money and really be a partner. And Chris, you've shown how a successful relationship can really blossom into something beautiful. And, we've now found ourselves in a position where Brizhammer has grown from a small local gaming event to one of the peaks in Australia, and you've now got a new venue. So that's the testament and the credibility to everything you've put into your events.
And we'll also still be going back to Irresistible Force as well. We keep our smaller events going. It's just that every, say, 6 months, we'll probably do a big event. So there'll be a 50-player one this time, probably this year, and then probably about 6 months, 8 months time, I reckon there'll be a 100-player event in Brisbane.
Yeah, keep these events. For every Sydney GT that we run, or Lords of War, we're still helping out with the monthly or running these different events with Lindsay.
Yeah, you got to keep the small events going to keep the interest happening and keep churning through.
I got to say as well is your events, from what I see on social media and stuff, you guys always give a great goodie package. Every time everyone has so much useful good stuff. I'm pretty sure one pack you gave out a 9-inch gauge, a combat gauge, and 3 tokens and stickers. And
we always give dice as well. 5 dice, 5 Brizhammer dice every time.
And dice that there, I know for a personal investment. I've done massive dice, custom dice orders and everything like that. Giving out dice is you're just cool, free money pretty much in a way, which is really cool. So
plus I love dice. Who doesn't love dice?
Oh, love it. I love it.
Dice.
If you have dice,
we've got something pretty decent planned for Brizhammer 4 too. So as soon as we get those, we'll be chucking them up. We're going to try and make a bit more online presence with this one to try and keep the numbers boosting.
Sick. Well, yeah, because that's one thing for me when I go to a 2-day event is I check what's in the goodie bag. And so far, every event that I've been to this past year has been great. And seeing yours, I'm just okay, I really need to go because I want dice and tokens. So yeah.
Yep. Well, show up, you'll get them. That's for sure.
I'm literally now tempted to look at flights now.
I'm coming. I'm 100% there. And, again, yeah. So this is awesome. I think I've learned a lot. I have some new inspiration, Lindsay. We are going to talk about, taking Games Cube to another level. Let's think about how we re-engage and, go from good to great. And I think, every game store or every aspiring tournament organizer can probably take something out of this discussion and really help build their communities in partnership with that friendly local game store. So I appreciate both Stratty and Lindsay for all the insights and value that you guys have added in this chat. Liam, we had fun.
Yeah, of course. Just so you know, Hayden offered me a bed as well.
No, well, you can sleep on the floor.
Sleep under the bed.
For anyone who's still watching this show, guys, YouTube is going to be cutting off this application that I use and other people use called Hangouts on Air. It finishes up next week. So what the world looks like for AOS Coach moving forward, we don't know yet, but stay tuned. I'll be looking at some new technology, and there might be a new layout or a new format depending on what YouTube looks like. So stay tuned. But this has been great. I'm going to go reset my 3D printers and print more terrain for Sydney GT. This has been a pleasure. Liam, Stratty, Lindsay, you guys have been great.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, guys.
Have a great week.
Brizhammer, maybe.
Brizhammer. Thank you. Represent.